my name is Sophia and today we're going to have a discussion about character-focused readers and plot-focused readers and the balance between them. And yeah, let's get right into it. So, first let's define character-driven reader and plot-driven reader. So, a character-driven reader is a character who will not enjoy a book if they don't have characters they can latch onto and relate and empathize with. If a character-focused reader reads a book with no characterization, they are not going to like it. The reason they read books is for the characters. The reason they love books is for the characters. Now, a plot-focused reader is a reader who loves the action, what's going to happen next. They're in it for the plot. They pick up a book thinking, oh, this plot is going to be super good. And when they talk about a book, they talk about the highlights of the plot more than the highlights of the characters. So, I think just like black and white and right or wrong, these two boxes, I'm going to call them character and plot, these two boxes, they're too limiting because I think a lot of people don't fall in one or the other. They fall somewhere in the middle, and that's where I fall. I don't say I fit in any of these boxes. I say I am a reader who picks up books for the plot but stays for the characters. And I think that's like the truth for almost, like for the vast majority of readers. We pick up books thinking, oh, this plot is gonna be interesting. I like the themes this is raising up. I like the discussions. I like the stakes. But the reason most people get attached to a book or love a book or even want to continue a series is because of the characters. So why do we as readers tend to put like ourselves and our reading taste in boxes, in the character and plot boxes, since most of us need a blend of both to enjoy a book. So when I say I come for the plot but stay for the characters, it's a way of me to say that I don't think you can sell a book or at least I wouldn't pick up a book and people I know wouldn't pick up a book just based on, oh, this has interesting characterization, or maybe like outstanding characterization when it's one of the best of all time, maybe. But I don't think a lot of people would say, ooh, this has good characters, and pick this up without looking at genre or plot or the elements and themes involved in the book. So plot is a big selling point. It's probably the main selling point for books because it lets you know what you're getting into and what the story is about. So when people say, oh, I'm a character-driven reader, so how do you categorize what books you want to pick up? Because if you're a character-driven reader, then like you might like some plots, but you're in it for the characters, so you just read books that have good characters and not try any maybe genre fiction, maybe. But yeah, like fantasy sci-fi, because fantasy sci-fi is usually focused on plot. It has good characterizations, but they go hand in hand with the plot. And speaking of that, that's why I love fantasy so much. That's why I am a fantasy reader. Because a fantasy book, most of them at least, have great plots and they focus a lot on the plot. Like the writer, you can see the writer put a lot of effort in developing the plot and the world, but also, for me, a good fantasy book isn't good if it doesn't have great characters who are influenced and changed because of the world they live in. So that's why fantasy is so interesting to me, because as a person that comes for the plot and stays for the characters, the plot, like fantasy has such amazing plots that I say, oh, I want to read that. And when I start reading it, I fall in love with the most interesting and diverse in like personality and like just such great characters. And yeah, I really love that blend that fantasy can give you. I mean, sure, contemporary can give you that too, but contemporary is usually about a person or maybe about a relationship if it's contemporary romance. And for example, if you're it's really weird because when you talk about like character and plot in a book, they are intrinsically connected, unless the point of a book is to, like, it's literary fiction or maybe character study. Maybe a book has to have a good connection between character and plot, otherwise it very probably isn't going to work. Of course there are exceptions to everything, but like, imagine a book that has great characterization and atmosphere but also no plot, almost no plot. For example, The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. This book, for example, The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. This book is very, very atmosphere and character driven. But for example, take the atmosphere out, because the atmosphere is a part of the world, but take the atmosphere out. Like, let's say we're not set in 1500s Russia. Let's say we're set in like 1900s America. Wasn't gonna draw as many people in, because even though Vasya is a great, amazing character and the plot does come in the later books, just the selling point of this book isn't look at how much amazing characterization this has. It's look at this very atmospheric, slow, character-driven, and atmospheric book set in Russia. So, yeah, that's the thing for me. You know, I know I said that before, but how can, like, a person say, I'm a character-driven reader, and how can we give books to that person in a way they would want to read the book? Because if we're gonna look at it in like a straightforward way, then I am a character-driven reader. I keep reading for the characters. I love the characters. That's what makes me like and love a story. If a book has great plot but I didn't have any emotional attachment to it, and that comes from the characters, then I'm gonna give it 3.5 stars and that's it. You know, it's still a good book, but it doesn't hold on to me. So how do we, like, market a book for a character-driven reader in a way that's gonna actually appeal to them? But imagine, in fiction, if you just give us, this is a great character. Good. What else about this book? You're gonna want to learn a little bit more to see if it's worth your time, to see if it's something you like. So how can we market that outside of telling the themes and what this book is actually about? Sure, you can say stuff about the dynamic of the characters, but that's still a plot point, even though it is intrinsically related to the characters. See what I mean? You can't, for example, strained mother-daughter relationship. For example, is that part of their character? Definitely. Is that also part of the plot? Their conflicts are driving the plot? Definitely. So how do we separate these two? And how do we... Also, a selling point for a lot of people is saying, let's see, the minority the character is from. So if it's a black character, a disabled character, LGBT character, that's a selling point to them. And that's fine, I like that. I pick up a lot of books just based on the fact that it's gay. I get it. But that's also not a character trait, I'd say. It's not look at how good these characters are, is look at this representation that we have managed to find. That's not actually, I mean, maybe if the book is about coming out or about being that minority, then that's linked, but usually it isn't. So I raise the question again because I don't have any answer. How do we market books based for character-driven readers and based on the characters if our biggest selling points are for plot? In literary fiction and some fiction, when you read the synopsis, it's gonna tell you a little bit about the character's life and their struggles, which, if you're interested in the character's life and their struggles, that is a way to market it, definitely. But also, that character's life and struggles happen in a world, in a setting that's influenced by outside forces, and that is a plot. So, how do we separate these two? And why do we separate these two? Why is there such I mean, it's not like a big thing that everybody has to put themselves into boxes, but I hear people saying this a lot, like I'm a character-driven reader or I'm a plot-driven reader. And when these two are very much linked, but I get it that, for example, a plot-driven reader won't very much enjoy this book, which is very much atmospheric and character-driven, and a character-driven reader is not going to enjoy a high fantasy that's all plot and like basically no character. And I absolutely get that, but how do we specifically mark it? And why do we separate these like that? Those were the points I wanted to raise with absolutely zero conclusion. So if you have any thoughts about that, please let me know. Let's discuss it in the comments. Let's talk about the separation between character and plot, how they're linked. If you disagree with me, if you agree with me, let's just chat. Have a nice discussion. So yeah, my name is Sophia and I'll see you next time. Bye!